Hello, movie nerds, and welcome back to Cinematic Sarcastic, the podcast that talks all things movies and television. I'm Natalie, and I'm your host. On today's episode, we are finally getting around to talking about Sound of Freedom. I know I had a couple of people request that I review this, and it has taken me a bit to get around to actually going to see the film. I think it's been out for approximately a month now, but there has been a lot of just horribleness about this movie in the news. And again, it does deal with a rather serious topic, so be forewarned if you are uncomfortable listening to that sort of stuff or talking about those types of things. Definitely do not feel pressured to listen to this review. So I did go see the film. I did purchase my own tickets. I know that the production company is doing some sort of free ticket thing where you can go onto their website and either donate free tickets so that someone else can watch it, or you can get free tickets to watch. I did not do that. I did purchase my own tickets. I have no problem doing that. I will say that I have to just sort of say that I think the majority of what's coming out in terms of negativity for Sound of Freedom more than likely have more to do with the political affiliations of the man that the movie is about, and or the political affiliations of the production company and potentially Jim Caviezel. I don't know that there was anything particularly in the movie that screamed, QAnon to me, or really was overly religious in any way. I know there were a couple of lines in the film, God's children are not for sale is one I remember. And I think there may be one or two others that just kind of give away that there is a somewhat religious aspect to that. But again, this movie was about a specific person, a real person named Tim Ballard. I believe he is Mormon in real life. So for there to be a little bit of a religious context there does not surprise me. I think we've covered even another television show that was done recently about a Mormon family that had murdered someone. So to me, it's not really any different than that. Under the Banner of Heaven, I believe I've done a review on, and that one I found to be way more religious as far as a television show was concerned, or at least a lot more religion tied into that one than I found in Sound of Freedom. So Sound of Freedom does talk about circumstances of Tim Ballard's early life. He did end up eventually starting a foundation called Operation Underground Railroad that does deal in sort of the human trade, specifically with children, and trying to kind of obliterate that, make that not be a thing. The movie deals with one specific instance of a brother and sister that he kind of goes on the hunt to rescue. There was nothing about this film that I found, QAnon related or particularly extreme far right wing or anything of that nature. But I have a feeling that because of some of the political affiliations of the people involved in the making of the film, that is probably why people are calling it out and saying things about it being a conspiracy theory or propaganda or something of that nature. I would not say that any of that is particularly true, at least not in my opinion. But I am not like someone who is incredibly well-versed in QAnon or anything of that nature. I would not know a list of QAnon conspiracy theories in order to say whether or not any of them are included in the film. I would highly bet that like Jim Caviezel and the production company does not have me in mind when they are thinking of someone promoting or talking about their film, but here we are. I do think that the human trade aspect of it is 100% legitimate, but I will say, obviously, this is based on true events. It is not a documentary. It is a film. There are going to be aspects of the film that are dramatized, i.e. not real. I know that some experts in human trade, specifically dealing with children and also in general, have come forward to say that in the majority of cases, it is typically someone you know and trust that is getting you into that space, that it isn't really playing out in the way that the movie would depict. And to me, I don't know that that is really that important. I think if you are troubled enough by what you see in Sound of Freedom to want to do something about it, there definitely are organizations out there. If you don't feel comfortable, being a part of the one that Tim Ballard specifically runs, there are many, many others. And I know that because of some of the negative publicity, I think that Tim Ballard has been getting around the movie in general. I believe the COO of Operation Underground Railroad, the foundation that Tim Ballard founded, has said that Tim Ballard has stepped away from it and is no longer a part of that particular project. I would assume that he has done that so that none of his negative publicity blows back on the foundation itself, because I would agree with him that that foundation is probably pretty important, and anything, personal about him should not affect that foundation in any way. Clearly, there are other people tied to that foundation. The work that they do, I think, is probably pretty important. And so please, even if you don't like the movie or you don't want to support it, don't, go and hate on that organization specifically. There are other ones out there, though, like I said, if you feel the need to help out. I think that that is something that definitely has a way of getting to you when you sit down and watch Sound of Freedom. It is incredibly difficult to sit through. It is incredibly difficult to watch. I think the acting in terms of the children in the film was actually really well done. It's heart-wrenching. It's hard to watch these kids and think about, clearly they're not showing anything specific, but just the, idea of something like that happening to a child, I think for the majority of people is not something that is easy to stomach and not something easy to watch. It does not surprise me that Sound of Freedom, just by word of mouth, is making a considerable amount of money. I think that it's an important topic. I think that the movie is well done. I'm not at all, mad that I went to go see it. If you are interested in seeing it, I would suggest doing so. I think it was particularly good considering the extremely small budget that they had. And yeah, those are really my thoughts on Sound of Freedom. I would love to know what you guys thought of this film if you went to go see it, and what you think about all of the backlash that's happening with this one in particular. I would be interested to know what you guys think about that. Do subscribe if you want to join the Movie Nerd family, and I hope to see you in the next episode.